You know, sometimes an ancient text can offer the most profound guidance through one of modern life's toughest journeys. Today, we're going to explore just that, how Psalm 23 can become a true shelter for those facing ALS.
And for so many people, especially when life feels completely uncertain, Psalm 23 is exactly that shelter. It's not just words on a page, it's a place to stand when the ground beneath your feet feels like it's giving way.
Now, to really get why this psalm hits so hard, we have to talk about ALS. It is so much more than a medical diagnosis. The source material for this explainer calls it an existential disruption, and that really nails it. It's a disease that reshapes pretty much everything: your identity, your independence, and your future.
So, let's dive into the opening verses. We're going to see how the psalm, right from the get-go, offers a totally different way to think about loss and the kind of forced stillness that comes with this disease.
It kicks off with this line that we've all heard, right? But it's actually making a pretty radical claim. For a journey that's so often defined by what's being taken away, the psalmist immediately pulls our focus from what we lack to something else entirely.
And this is just a crucial distinction. I shall not want doesn't mean I won't suffer. It's not a promise of an easy life. What it really means is I will not be abandoned. The biggest question is no longer about the loss itself, but about whether we have to face that loss all alone. And that simple shift changes everything for everyone involved. For the person living with ALS, it helps anchor them in what's still there, what is still held. And for caregivers, it's this incredible release, a reminder that you're a vital part of the care, but you are not expected to be the source of everything. That's just an impossible pressure to carry.
Okay, so let's move to the next verse and see how this idea builds. ALS often forces a kind of stillness that can feel like your independence is being stolen. But just look at how the psalm frames it.
This gets right to the heart of a huge challenge. Our culture pretty much screams that our worth is tied to how productive we are. Well, this verse just turns that whole idea on its head. It suggests that rest isn't laziness, it's a form of nourishment, and our value has nothing to do with what we can do. That forced rest can become a sacred space, not an empty one.
Now we get to it, the emotional heart of the psalm. This is where the text looks fear and suffering straight in the eye. And what it offers isn't some easy escape route, but something far more real.
It doesn't flinch, does it? It names the reality of the journey. For families living with ALS, this valley isn't some abstract concept. It's real. It's a daily walk. And the psalm acknowledges that, yeah, this walk is part of the journey.
And here's why that's so powerful. It's honest. It doesn't offer a detour around the pain, because for someone with ALS, that would just ring false. Instead, it offers the one thing that can truly make that walk bearable: presence, companionship, right there in the middle of it all.
And did you notice the change in the language? It goes from talking about a shepherd to talking directly to him. It becomes personal, immediate. It's the shift from just ideas about God to an actual relationship, which is exactly what faith often feels like in a crisis.
So what about these tools, the rod and the staff? Well, they're instruments of guidance and protection. They provide structure, they provide direction.
So how does that look today in the context of the ALS journey? Well, you can see these tools everywhere. See, comfort doesn't always feel soft and fluffy. Sometimes, comfort is the solid structure of a care plan, the reliability of assistive technology, or those daily routines that create a framework where life can still be lived with purpose. And then, just when we're in the deepest, darkest part of the valley, the psalm does something completely unexpected. All of a sudden, these themes of honor, community, and even abundance show up. What a powerful image, right? The enemy, the disease itself, is still right there. It hasn't vanished, and yet in its very presence, a table is prepared. And a table? That's a place for community, for nourishment, for connection.
What this is saying is that ALS doesn't get the final word. It doesn't have to erase every moment of joy, of laughter, of shared memory. In fact, those moments often become even more intentional, more precious. That table becomes a deliberate choice to cultivate connection, to refuse to let the disease define everything.
And right after the image of the table, we get this: anointing. Anointing is a sign of being honored, of dignity. It's such a powerful counterstory to the way an illness can sometimes make a person feel like they've been reduced to nothing more than a diagnosis.
So when the psalm says, "My cup runneth over," it's not trying to say that life is free of pain. Not at all.
It's saying that even in the middle of profound hardship, life can still be full of love, full of meaning, full of connections that go way beyond physical limits. So let's pull all these threads together. What is the enduring promise of this ancient text for anyone walking this incredibly difficult path?
When you really boil it all down, the psalm gives us these 5 core truths for the journey. It reminds us that strength isn't about not being vulnerable, that someone's presence is so much more powerful than any explanation for why this is happening, that rest is not the same as failure, that who we are is so much deeper than what our bodies can do, and maybe the most important one, that love can absolutely coexist with loss. And the psalm wraps up with this final promise. Goodness and mercy, they aren't just visitors that might show up on a good day. They are constant companions that follow us, even on the hardest days, sometimes in ways we can barely even recognize.
And really, that's the ultimate takeaway, isn't it? Psalm 23 isn't a map for getting out of a valley. It's the promise of a companion to walk with us through it, reminding us that in this journey we are never, ever truly alone.